Welcome to the Temple of Flame. On today, Faith Black Lights, we take a look at this. And what this is from Captain Mowatt. It is the Shark Bite Mustard. Take a bite, it'll bite you back, we shall see. Burning Portland since 1775. Oh, stop. I like this though. Portland in this case is Portland, Maine, where this particular company originates, as you can see above. All right, we've got, burning the planet one tug at a time, cool. All right, so we've got vinegar, water, mustard seed, red chili peppers, which are not defined. I'll come back to that in a second. Cane sugar, crushed garlic, sea salt, paprika, turmeric spices, xanthan gum, and Maine seaweed. So all of their sauces so far seem to have seaweed in them, which I appreciate. As you have seen on the other videos, I am an appreciator. I appreciate seaweed. I have furikake and so on, so I'm good with that. It doesn't really read, though, I wouldn't say so far in the sauces, but I do like the idea. So, because it's not specified, and I try to get this information whenever possible, both for my own curiosity and to bring it to you, so this won't be available. I don't do written reviews of anything other than hot sauces, which to me is a separate category, rather than mustards, and I've gone on at length about that. But the peppers here from the company, I asked them what they were, and they were good enough to reply back to me as red jalapeno, cayenne, bird's eye, and Japone. I don't know if I'm saying that last one correctly. Japone is I believe a Asian pepper. Bird's eye is, a few things get called that, but it can be an African pepper. I'm not quite sure which one they're referring to exactly, but red jalapeno and cayenne are certainly ones we're well familiar with here. So I do like the bottle. We have a nice, what is this, 8 ounce? Yeah, 8 fluid ounce bottle here, which it looks like all their sauces, by the way, come in. So, mustard tends to be a pretty thick sauce. So I'm not sure about the wisdom of putting it in this sort of container. However, I suppose you really wouldn't want to necessarily have additional containment for just one thing. But obviously agitation is going to be out the window here. There is xanthan gum though, so that's probably fairly well emulsified, I would guess. Ooh. All right. So this is supposed to be what are we calling this? A traditional yellow mustard with, made uncharacteristically tasteful through the infusion of chili peppers and garlic. Yes, crushed garlic. I've got way too much in this spoon. Way too much in this spoon because of the way it flowed. But it's fine. It's fine. We'll slug through it. You can see it's actually rounded over the thing. It's got a little bit of the xanthan gum jiggle to it as well. It's sort of more of a sunflower yellow, I would say, than a bright yellow, which is what you would expect with all the different additives in it. And you can see the the surface tension is is strong enough that it's not breaking, even though it is past the actual edge of this, which is kind of fluid dynamics, kind of fun to observe. Anyway, let's get into it. That's a lot of mustard all at once. The things I do for you. It is, there is grace notes there. This is kind of interesting. So we have a lot of grace notes of the garlic. I almost feel like there's a, oh yeah. I was like, this seems a little bit sweet to me. And there it is, the cane sugar, which I didn't, I read it to you, but it didn't register. All right. So, heat-wise, it is pretty moderate to this point. None of those peppers are particularly hot. It does have a little bit of a tingle there, so it's not like it's nothing. But I don't know that this is really meant to be a particularly punchy mustard. I think this is actually, it is quite flavorful. This is, so far, and I barely got into it, I would say one of the better mustards I've had on this series. And there's a whole playlist of mustards if you want to check it out. It may have ranged from scorching mustards to really, really tasty ones. This one I would say is more of the really, really tasty variety. I quite like what they've done here. Okay, all right, sure, let's just do that. All right, so hot dog buns, I found another, this grocery store, man, the closest one to me, and I've been kind of keeping tabs on, it's weird, like sometimes stuff will just show up at, not that one so much, there's a different one where it's a little bit more frequent. But this one will have stuff like this, which is another red hot sausage. This one from Pendleton's in Oregon, the Hills Red Hot Sausage, I believe is the name of this one. So I thought, let's take a little whack at that. So throw these in there. And the red hot sausages, most of the time they're not particularly hot, but they also don't really fit. You can see they're overrunning the buns, which makes it a bit of a chore when you want to add stuff like this to it. But I didn't feel like I wanted to go get a whole separate, bun just for the sausages. Although actually I didn't realize that until just now that they were this much out of proportion. Okay, all right, calm down here. So getting past that top part, it does flow pretty smooth. So fine, this ball's fine. I have to say that the reservations I expressed earlier were unfounded. All right, so I didn't forget to get a baseline. All right, let me get a baseline with this one. I don't know how much I like these. Oh, that's an excellent mustard. Wow. It is definitely a touch on the sweet side. No question there. But I don't mind that so much, and I can live with that in deviled eggs, potato salad and stuff. I don't mind it on brats. I wouldn't say it's a sweet mustard. It's not to that extent. I'm really entertained by this shake well on the label. Always a good idea with mustards, but you know, how possible is it at that point? Well, I like this mustard a lot. I don't love the sausage. I am greatly looking forward to this on brats, though. All right, we'll shake it well. Yep. All right. Well, I'm curious. So I did this sauce a while ago. This is K-John's hot pickle sauce. There's a separate video for this. It is super, super runny. Well, I'm curious to see how this interacts with the flavors. So this is such a bizarre product. It's almost like they made something that you'd use for mixed drinks if you were putting that in mixed drinks, I guess. All right, here we go. Yeah, it is. So it's more like a yellow mustard with just a bit of sweetness to it. Nothing too overbearing, over the top, or anything like that. It's yeah, that's where I would say it falls closest to a sort of. I mean, it's essentially what it is: a yellow mustard with just a touch of sweetness. The garlic is definitely more of a grace note here. It is present, but it's more of a grace note. And peppers. So peppers, now that I've had more of this, I'm going to say those are... I think I can reasonably give it a default 1. Yeah, that's about where I put it. All right. So, with this strange sauce, it is not functional. All right. So much for that idea. We're just going to eat the rest of this. This is definitely not the fault of the mustard. It's just that I'm trying to find ways to use that other sauce. And I probably am going to wind up binning it. It's so goofy. I don't know why you'd ever make anything like that. That liquidy. It's just... Yep. Yeah, this is a super nice mustard. I would put this probably in the top, easily in the top quarter of all the mustards I've done on this channel. I wish I would have had a better vehicle for it, actually. But, you know, that's the nature of the gig, right? You try stuff, it can't all be great. You can't love everything. Right? Peaks and valleys. using a pool of literally hundreds of sauces that I did reviews on the blog. At the end of 2024, I graphed, for my own curiosity, the cumulative scores. And then I put that actually in the end of the year blog for 2024. So you can kind of see, there's the notion that most things will tend to follow a bell curve. If you're not familiar with the bell curve, what that means is that the outliers, so 8 to 10 on numerical ranking and 2 to 0. So 2 to 0, 8 to 10 will tend to be where it starts to flatten again. And then the majority of the upper section will be in a range of 3 through 7, give or take. And, with the peak being 4.5 or 5, where the majority is going to do. I don't do halves on the blog, but so I was curious to see if it would follow that. It didn't, but I was curious to see if it would. But that is kind of, I think, just kind of the nature of a lot of things, that they just sort of follow that curve, where most of it tends to reside in the middle, and then it goes either better or less good than the middle. So, but this one definitely would be in the upper part if you did the comparison with the other mustards in that playlist, like I mentioned. And I don't really try to assign those a number or anything like that, so I can't actually do that with those. But this is a super, super nice sort of mustard here. What is this graphic? Oh, is this a... Oh, it's some sort of nautical thing. Huh, interesting. At first I thought it was a baseball diamond. And so these guys have done a sauce for the Boston Red Sox. They had... I don't remember how I stumbled across them, but they had a number of products I was really curious about. So I did an order just to kind of get a sampling, and this is one of those. So there'll be a few more sauces from them we'll explore over the coming year, most likely. But, okay, so as far as this goes, think yellow mustard with a sort of nice garlic undertone with just a bit of sweetness to it. And some underlying heat, but not anything, I wouldn't say... The heat is not overly dramatic. Like I said, for me, it's a default 1. I have a very low general sort of mouth heat at the moment, but nothing that's, it's pleasant. It is. I think that level is kind of where most people really kind of want their their chili peppers to insert at, right? Is that sort of lower key stuff where it's there enough to be noticed, but it's not enough to, cause you to have a running sweat or anything like that. So, and that's kind of where this is. It's very, very moderate, but I really like the flavor of this. They did this is a cool mustard. Yeah. There's bits of garlic in here. I wouldn't quite say that I would put it as my favorite or anything like that, but I do find it highly enjoyable. And you can always use mustards like that. So very, very, very interesting sort of concoction they come up with here from Captain Mowatt's. And we'll just leave it right there. So that was the Captain Mowatt's Shark Bite Mustard. Now go forth in peace to serve the flame.